Oh, okay. Now it's letting me record. I think it's now I am also a host instead of just a participant. All right. So what I wanted to do first is obviously introduce ourselves. So my name is Blake Newton, and I'm an extension entomologist at the University of Kentucky. And so I'll be helping with about half of this course. And then Dr. Chapman, if you could introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm Eric. I teach or have taught the taxonomy class, the graduate level taxonomy class, a few times. I'm one of the go-to people in the department for taxonomic identifications and things like that. And I've got a pretty lengthy background in taxonomy and systematics and phylogenetics, so I'm pretty well versed in this subject. And I keep an insect collection for myself. I'm pretty crazy about beetles, and I'm in this because I love it. So I welcome all of your questions, and hope that the semester or this summer session goes well.
All right, what I want to do is I'm setting up a little Excel sheet here with I need to know some things about everybody, and it would also be good for everyone to introduce themselves. So if you could say your name and your location in the state, and then also maybe something about, if it's relevant, something about your job or the reason that you might be wanting to take a course like this. And then also whether you are an undergrad or a grad student. So I'll try to remind people of all those things as I go along here, because I'm trying to write this down in an Excel sheet. I'm going to start with Mary Hank, because I know that you might need to leave a little earlier than other people today.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm in Warren County for training. I stepped outside the room until it starts at 1 o'clock Central Time. But my name is Mary Hank. I recently just met Blake Newton. He came from one of my Master Gardener trainings. I work in McCracken County. I have a bachelor's degree in agriculture business management from Eastern Kentucky, and I am currently pursuing my master's in the STOW program. I help advise the Master Gardeners. And what else did we need to say? I'm sorry.
No, I think that's good. I got that you're a grad student, that you're an STO student. That means science translation and outreach. For those of you who aren't in that program, it's a graduate program here at UK, and that we got your location, that you work out of McCracken County. So thank you very much. And if you guys have any specific questions for me as we go through here, let me know as well. But let's continue with introductions. I think the next person I actually see on my list up there is Deborah. I believe that's Debbie Wakeman. Could you give us some info about yourself?
Yeah, I'm from Lexington, and I'm a Donovan Scholar. So I'm just auditing, I'm just taking the things I'm interested in. I took insect biology in this spring. So that had 150 students,
Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah, I'm a master naturalist, and I volunteer at Flora Clip. They're very big on biodiversity, so this is going to help me to help them. Yeah, because we do iNaturalist.
Yes,
that's how they. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll talk about iNaturalist a little bit too. Yeah, that's good. So you heard about us. I think you might have actually heard about us through the Master Naturalist program. Heard about the course that way. All right.
Yeah, I just went through it. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, and tell other Master Naturalists too, because this would be a good course for them. Let me go next to the next person I see is Tony Rose up there. Tony, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yes. Would you mind to? Oh wait, no, you're not Tony Rose. You're Michael Rose.
No, I'm right? James Nelson.
Oh, you're James. Oh, okay. So I was gonna see if Tony from Adair County could hear us next. But since he might not be hearing us right now. So since you're on there, James, it looks like you're at work. Can you give us a little info such as whether you're a grad student or an undergrad student, what kind of like graduate program you belong to, and then also your location, and then anything about like why you're taking this course.
Yeah, my name is James Nelson. I'm a graduate in the online entomology program with Dr. Larson, and I work here at UK Athletics. I maintain the playing surface and all the landscaping areas around the facility, the baseball facility, and also help at practice football in the stadium here. And one of the main reasons I wanted to further my education in entomology is, well, one, I'd like to be able to elevate myself to the next level, to the turf manager here, or possibly the next step of doing a doctorate program to possibly teach later on down the line, maybe some extension work. So
okay, that's perfect. Yeah, no, I didn't know you were interested in maybe teaching or extension down the road. That's really good.
well, I mean, the thing is here with we have a bunch of student workers, so I teach them every day about, really honestly leading and just how things work, why things work, grass, trees. I'm the only guy here that has any tree experience, certified arborist. So that kind of helps out in some ways around here when we have issues. But a lot of our trees are super old and super bad.
Yeah.
So make it quick. So, but I'll quit rambling on here. So.
All right. Well, that's perfect. Tony did get back with us. You'll see him. I think you'll see Tony come up as Michael Rose around on the documents and so forth. I think he goes by Tony most of the time. And I've known Tony for a while now. He's a 4-H agent in Adair County. He's saying he's having some issues with his computer and so forth. So we'll move next to Julia Wilson.
I am Julia Wilson. I am in Hart County. I'm the 4-H agent here in Hart County, and I'm a graduate student. This is actually my second master's degree I'm deciding to get. So I'm in the STO program.
Oh, so you're STO also. Okay. Looks good. And why are you interested in like insect ID?
I have kids wanting to do the entomology project for the fair and stuff. And I thought this would just be a benefit to help those kids make up those entries.
Awesome. Well, I work quite a bit with the 4-Hers on that project, so we'll definitely have a lot of information that hopefully is helpful for you here during the course. So thanks, Julia. And let me see who's next here. Oh, and you said Hart County. Carrie Spry.
Hello, I am Terri. I'm the horticulture agent here in Clark County. When Julia said Hart, I was like, did she say Clark? So no, I'm in Clark County. I am in the STO program going for my master's. I have my bachelor's in horticulture. And obviously this would just help me in a lot of what my job is when people come in with bugs that need ID'd and things like that. And it's fun. Give a shout out to Jonathan for making insects fun, in my opinion. So that's me.
Awesome. Yeah. That is perfect. So I've got your information. Oh yeah, and your STO. That's right. All right. So next, let's see. I believe I have. I think some more people have joined us in the last few minutes. I think I have Jennifer Palmer next.
Hi, I am a new agent in Jefferson County. I'm a horticulture agent, and I have a BA in sustainable agriculture. And I thought this would be a great class to take to help me with the community garden, since that's the #1 question too, is what bugs are eating my crops. I've been already getting a lot of.
That's good. And we'll talk a lot about sort of fact sheets and how to find pests of horticulture bugs and that kind of thing as we go along here. And I think I got your info. So, oh yeah, you're taking this as an agent, and you
Yes.
are Jefferson County. That's right. All right. So next, let's go to Caitlin Butler.
Hello, I'm Caitlin. I'm actually in Paris, Tennessee in Henry
Oh.
County. I am an undergraduate majoring in entomology, and I'm hoping to graduate in December.
Okay, so you're our first undergrad, at least first undergrad this semester, and you're in Tennessee. And what county did you say that was called again?
Henry County, it's right below Murray, Kentucky.
Oh, really? Okay. And what did you say that your current major is down there?
Entomology.
You're an entomology major. Are you doing that through UT?
No, I'm at UK. I'm just home
Oh,
for the
that's
summer.
right. You're at UK. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. And are you taking like most of your classes online at UK right now?
I'm only taking one summer class because I had to go home. I didn't have housing in Lexington.
Okay, so you've been living on campus during the semesters, and you're taking this online for the summer. Awesome.
Yeah, I was in Jen's lab. I helped you back in November.
Okay, so yeah, when we did what did we do in November?
We helped Jen because she was in Minnesota.
Oh my gosh, yes, that's right. You helped us out in the field.
Yeah.
Okay, you helped us collect bugs on the field, so you have a lot of experience with this already. Now, were you also helping, like, I don't know, you weren't an official TA for ENT 300, but were you sort of helping with ENT 300, or were you taking ENT 300?
I took that a year ago, and I was in taxonomy with Eric, but I helped Jen with that stuff because I work for her.
Awesome. Well, that's perfect then. Okay. And let's next go to Emma Lee.
Hello, I am Emma, and I am an A&R agent, Agriculture and Natural Resources, in Estill County right now. And I was in the STO graduate program, but I took ENT 530 with Dr. Larson, and I just had so much fun that I was like, you know what, forget all this. And so now I just got admitted into the entomology master's program, and I'm so excited about it. I love bugs, and I didn't realize how much until now. So I'm really excited to learn everything I can and see everything I can and learn to ID bugs. Very jacked up about this.
Awesome. All right. So we have, I think we have two of Dr. Larson's graduate students in this course this semester. All right. Let me see if there's anyone else on here. So we got James, Jennifer, Carrie, Caitlin, Debbie, Tony, Julia, Mary. I don't think I've talked to Jenny Bush yet. Can you hear us, Jenny? There you are.
There you go.
Right.
Hi, I'm Jenny. I work in Campbell County, and I'm a 4-H program assistant. I'm auditing the class, and we have a volunteer who approached us about helping more students submit insect collections to the fair. And I thought that was really interesting. So I've just been learning as much as I can, and we started an entomology club to get that going.
Perfect. Well, thank you for that info. Oh, and you are once again Campbell County. That's right. Okay. Yeah. And now let's go to Karen Mitchell.
And I am a non-degree seeking student. I happen to work at the University of Kentucky. I live in Lexington. I recently got my Kentucky Master Naturalist certificate with Debbie. Hi, Debbie. And she reminded me about this class. So I knew I wanted to take it. The reason is I'm president of the North American Butterfly Association chapter in Lexington that I started in 2019, right before COVID. So this year has been particularly busy, which is great. I just want to be able to talk the language when people ask me some specific questions. And And I want to be able to understand that and broaden my horizon, not just on butterflies, but the entire insect world as much as I can. So.
Awesome. Well, we're definitely going to be going over a broad array of different things. And did I pronounce your last name correctly?
It's Michael.
Michael.
I'm married into it. I can't help it, but yeah, it's Michael.
I'm going to write that down, but I'll probably remember that when I write it down anyway.
Thank you.
All right. So, I think I caught everyone there. Did I get to Terri? I don't think I talked to Terri Turner yet.
No, that's me.
Ah,
Hi,
yeah.
I'm Terri Turner. I am a horticulture technician at the Campbell County Extension Service. So I work with Jenny. Campbell County is in the northern part of the state. We're right across the river from Cincinnati. I've been in extension for about 26 years now as a hort tech. And so I help with the master gardeners, and Dr. Larson has come up and done programs for our master gardeners. You know, we answer gardening questions, and a big thing is people are always bringing in insects for identification. So I'm just actually auditing the class just to brush up. It's been a while since I've had an entomology class. And I think, like Emma said, I'm super excited about insects. And so I'm really excited to learn more. And I actually reached out to you a few months ago with advice on how to take care of my tarantula.
Oh.
So she's still alive. So thank you very much for that.
Good. All right. Well, I think I caught everybody who's on the Zoom call. Let me know if I didn't hit you. It sounds like we've got a ton of people here who are, I mean, exactly who we're looking for to take this class. We've got naturalists, we've got extension staff, and undergrads. I think sort of ironically, Caitlin, our undergrad, may actually know some of this material better than almost anyone else here, because she's just taking some of this stuff very, very fresh. So she may even know some of this stuff better than I won't name specific instructors, but it might be me. So so I'm sure some of you guys can teach us a thing or two, and I'm hoping that Karen might actually be able to share some butterfly stuff with us. I'm saying that out loud to put some pressure on her to share some butterfly stuff with us a little bit later. Okay, so a couple of things. If you are present today, and most everybody in the class is, except for a couple people who told me that they couldn't be here today, you've already completed one assignment. So you, like I said in one of the emails, we're going to have these Zoom meetings every week on Monday. So that's 8 total Zoom meetings. We are going to kind of require you to attend at least one of those every 2 weeks, and you'll see that there's a corresponding assignment for that in Canvas. So I want to go ahead and show you what that looks like. And this will also help familiarize you with Canvas a little bit. So I'm going to share screen. So hopefully people can share my screen. So so this is what my Canvas screen looks like. I'm hoping that it looks at least something like this from the student level. But I want to show you a couple of things here. But I'll first show you how to basically let me know. I'm going to keep a log of your attendance at these things too, but we also need you to take a step as well to let us know you're at these Zoom meetings. So hopefully along the left-hand side of your course menu here, you'll see something called assignments, and you'll click over there. And at least on my Canvas, well, now it's not. It was showing it based on due date, but now it's showing it in order. But you will find somewhere down here, it will say live Zoom session 1, and that's today. It could also be next week if you came next week, but live Zoom session 1 would be your first 2-week mandatory Zoom session. So you click in there. And I believe what it shows when you, here's the student view. I believe what it shows when you see this is it will say participate in at least one live Zoom meeting. And you click something like it. Hopefully it'll say submit or something like that. It won't even show that to me on here. If you have trouble submitting this, let me know, because there may be some other thing that I need to do here. That one thing that's bad about Canvas is it won't show me what you guys see sometimes. But you will do
So
that.
I'm looking at my screen and it looks exactly like yours.
So
I
it
don't
doesn't
see
have.
a submit.
Okay, there may need to be. Yeah.
I did find a submit for the Google Drive thing, so I know what you're talking about. But this particular one
doesn't have it yet. Okay, it's probably because there's something else that I need to do, and I've run into this before. So let me go to live Zoom session 1, and let me go to. Oops. Oh yeah, so your view is definitely different than mine. Leave student view. It looked like on student view, it actually did have the assignments with a due date on top. So that might help you find these a little bit. Okay, I see now. Submission type, online, text entry. And all you need to, so hopefully this will work now. So hopefully what it will show you is this block of text, and then a little text box down here, and just say anything in there. Just say, hey, I was at the first Zoom meeting, and then click submit, and that will just turn in this assignment. And a lot of your assignments will work like this. So
yeah, I think so now it says start assignment at the
start
top.
assignment. Yep.
Yeah, so it's good. Thank you.
All right, so now that works. That's good. And hopefully I'll probably have to change the other of the 4 Zoom sessions as well to make sure that works. But at least that's how to do it. Okay, so the other thing I wanted to show you guys is another couple of things from Canvas, and also ask any questions that you have. I wanted to show you on our very first page here just a little bit about Canvas. So you obviously see our email addresses on there. If you're not able to make one of the 2 group sessions every 2 weeks, let us know, and we will try some alternatives. We may try a second group Zoom session at a different time, or we might just have to meet with you individually. But email us about that. It'll be kind of up to you to email us and say, hey, I wasn't able to attend. Please let me do some kind of individual one. And you'll see that the Canvas course is organized by week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, down to week 8, with sort of a suggested amount of stuff to get done every week. So that's how it's kind of arranged. You may find yourself off a little bit one week or the other, but as long as you get the things that have due dates, you will still be in good shape. I also wanted to show you this little section called resource files. This has a handful of documents that you might find useful that we will refer to throughout the course, including some various sort of trees of arthropod life. We've got a big tree of the arthropod life. There's an extremely detailed spider family tree that goes into a ton of detail and has pictures that you might find useful. And then also the syllabus is in here. There's another way to get to the syllabus, but the syllabus is in here as a PDF. It's just this ENT 520 digital identification 2023. And then we've also pulled out the collection requirements into its own document. It's as far as I can remember, identical to what's in the syllabus, except it's just a faster way to get to it. And it also includes a couple of example pictures. So those are some things that you might want to refer to. And then there's a PowerPoint that shows basic terms, basic morphological terms. There's actually a whole presentation on that, but that's where that's housed. And then I believe we also have here under PowerPoints, we have the PowerPoint, unnarrated PowerPoint versions of just about every lecture in the course, especially the lectures that have to do with the creatures themselves. So if there's something you want to review and even maybe keep, to refer to later. This is the way for you to download those PowerPoints with all the pictures and that kind of thing in it. So those things are all available to you there. So any questions about any of that kind of stuff? How the course works, how to navigate Canvas, the weekly Zoom sessions, or the requirement for the Zoom sessions. By the way, the Zoom sessions, I think the whole class is worth 500 points. The Zoom sessions are worth, I think, 10 points each. And so, you know, if you totally miss one, you just don't get 10 points. It's not like you fail the course or anything like that. The reason that we want people to come to these Zoom sessions is we want to kind of keep track of how you're doing in the class, to make sure you're doing things like using your Google folder correctly, getting started on pictures, and that kind of thing, so you don't have a bunch of questions like the last 2 weeks of class, which has happened to us in the past. Any questions? All right, so another thing I want to show you guys is an example Google Drive folder that someone turned in last year, just to show you what it looks like. So if you've never messed with Google Drive before, and there's a whole assignment on this, it actually gives you some step-by-step directions on how to open Google Drive and create a shared Zoom folder. It's very easy to do. You do have to have a Google account, which basically means you have to have a Gmail account. So if you don't have one of those, you'll need to create one. But up here, hopefully you'll see in the Google Apps section, there's something called Google Drive here somewhere. Google Drive. And so I want to show you an example one from last year. I'm going to go to my shared folders. And I think I want to do, if I can find it again. Kelly Jackson's from last year. So he named his top Google folder ENT 520. Another good thing to name it might be phylum Arthropoda, or you could put a folder inside ENT 520 called phylum Arthropoda, but he chose to call it ENT 520. And so, that's what he did. He had a top folder called ENT 520, and then his top folder in there is called phylum Arthropoda. So everything we discuss in this class is going to be phylum Arthropoda. So this is how a computer folder system works, and it's also how we teach this class. In order for a creature to be in this class, it's got to be in this folder somewhere. But instead of having everything loose inside this folder, we have organized it. So underneath phylum, we've got our 5 main classes that we'll be teaching in this course, and we have a whole bunch of lectures talking about these different 5 classes. And within each class are orders. And so the biggest one for this course, the one that has the most orders and the most just diversity in the world, is Insecta. So we open that up, and now he's got all of his orders listed. We actually ask you to create a folder for just about every insect order that there is, so that you'll be familiar that they exist, even if you don't end up having any pictures in those folders. Just to reinforce this idea that these orders belong inside the class, and that there are things that you may never see, but just to realize that they exist, like things like heel walkers, which you may never see, or even things that are common that you just might not get a picture of for this class, like thrips. But so within his orders, and he has a bunch of these orders here, I'm going to click on Coleoptera. And inside here are the images, and basically each image represents one family. So when I click to open this, it brings up the actual image of the creature. And so you'll see he's got an image here. This also will give you a little bit of an idea of what kind of acceptable images would be for this class. They don't have to be perfect, but we need to be able, Eric and I need to be able to see enough information on the creature to know that it's correctly identified. Sometimes we can do that from kind of a smudgy picture, and sometimes we can't. So this picture is good enough for this creature. So he's got ENT 520, summer 2022. He's got his name. He's got the location, which can either be an address or GPS coordinates or both. It's got the date when the picture was actually taken. It's got an approximate length, which sometimes you'll need to eyeball. Sometimes you can get it a little more accurate than that. And then we want the class, the order, and the family for each of these creatures. And so this is Insecta, this is which is the class that it belongs to. It's Coleoptera, which means beetles, and this happens to be Mordelidae family, which is the tumbling flower beetles. And one of the things I hope to get across in this course is that family level ID is very useful to us, because I have no idea which species of tumbling flower beetle this is. I don't even have a clue. I don't know anything about that family, but I know that it's a tumbling flower beetle because it just has a very distinctive look. And they're also really common. So it's a good one to know about. It's a good one for a naturalist, for instance, to be able to say, that's a tumbling flower beetle. I don't know exactly which kind of tumbling flower beetle it is. I know that it's of very little consequence as far as being a pest or anything like that. It probably does a little pollination because it's on flowers a lot. And that's might be all you would ever need to know about tumbling flower beetles, but at least you can put a name to it. And so, and on our Google Drive here, a little arrow appears, and I can go through every family within Coleoptera just by switching through and seeing each member of Coleoptera that he included. So that's how this works. These are all saved as JPEGs. Somebody mentioned to us if they could submit as PowerPoints instead of individual JPEGs, and that is okay too. What I would ask you to do is, so you'll have your Google Drive set up with your phylum, class, order. So let's say you're submitting it in PowerPoint instead of individual pictures. So when I order beetles, when I open the order for beetles, what it would really be helpful for you to do is to make a single PowerPoint for beetles and make each family image a slide in that PowerPoint, because it will be much easier for us to grade that rather than having to open a bunch of individual PowerPoints, because they won't open automatically for us. That's not a big deal, but that would help us a great deal if you did it that way. Otherwise, JPEGs are the way to go. So any questions about the Google Drive and how it is organized? All right, so hopefully that makes sense. And please email us any questions about this stuff if it comes up later. I think that's all I wanted to go over as far as the Canvas site. Now I just want to mention a couple of other things, and what I'm going to do next is kind of what we might do every week, which I just might mention just some news kinds of things or just some interesting info. And so I'm going to talk to you about a couple of things this week. For one thing, I noticed on my recordings that I was going over, one thing that I didn't mention in super good detail, which is something that you would have probably learned in any kind of insect biology class before, but if you aren't that familiar with insect biology, you may not be as familiar with the world of what's going on with immature insects. So I just want to mention that very briefly, because as you're taking pictures for this course, it will help you most of the time to get pictures of adult insects. They are simply easier to identify to the family level. And so I kind of want to orient you to what some of the immature insects look like. You can still take pictures of them if you're really confident what family they belong to. That's fine. And if we can grade it, we'll give it a try. But if we're not sure, or if in some cases you simply can't be sure with immatures from a picture, but I at least want to orient you. So if you're talking about immature insects from what we call the hemimetabula, or those insects that have incomplete life cycle. So these would be the insects that are things like stink bugs, cicadas, aphids, grasshoppers, termites, roaches, a bunch of our aquatic creatures like mayflies, dragonflies, damselflies, stoneflies. These creatures will have what's called a nymph. And these creatures will often look a lot like they are an adult. So you may be tempted to take pictures of them. And like I said, you can give it a try. But sometimes it's not easy to tell what family these belong to. So here are several examples of the world of nymphs, the world of those creatures that have immature or have incomplete life cycles. And so one of the ways that you can tell that they're immature, at least a lot of the time, is that they won't have fully developed wings. So this stink bug you see over here, if this was an adult stink bug, it would have these fully developed wings that kind of cross over each other. But instead, it's got exposed abdominal sections. And that's a big clue that you might have an immature insect, is if you can see exposed abdominal lines here. And the same thing on this grasshopper. If this was an adult grasshopper, at least in most cases, it would have wings that come way down and extend all the way over the abdomen. In fact, the grasshoppers have two sets of wings, one that's kind of on top, that's tough, and then a folded up set underneath that. But this one is an immature, so you can't, there's no wings, and you can see these abdominal segments very clearly. That means it's still an immature. There are a handful of exceptions to some of these things. There are some crickets, for instance, actually some pretty common crickets that even as adults still have exposed abdominal segments. So if it's something that's pretty big, especially, go ahead and try to take a picture of it. But sometimes it'll end up being an immature, and it might be hard to tell what it is. So the roach, the same thing down here. It's got exposed abdominal segments. There are actually plenty of roaches that even as adults have exposed abdominal segments, but most of the time when you find a roach, it's going to have wings that kind of cross over each other. And there are a lot of aquatic creatures that a lot of them honestly kind of look like this one over here on the left. They're kind of flat. They have 6 legs. They're underneath rocks. If you see one of those, it's a good bet that it's one of the handful of underwater immature stages. Many of these can actually be identified to family level from the immature fairly easily, but we're not going to really cover them in this class. So just want you to be aware of those creatures. So does anybody have any questions about what we call the immatures for those bugs with incomplete life cycle? Oh, and by the way, I didn't really mention it. The things like spiders, centipedes, and millipedes, they all have immature stages too. But in many cases, the immatures of those and the adults look almost the same. So it's going to be very hard to tell in most cases whether those are immature or an adult. So once again, if it looks kind of big, go ahead and take a picture of it, and we'll see if we can identify it. All right, so those are those creatures, and then our whole other
Blake,
set of,
can I interrupt you for a second?
Absolutely.
Just going back to what you were talking about here. If an insect has wings, it's always an adult.
Oh, yes.
Okay. If it doesn't have wings, then it's probably a nymph, but especially if it looks like the adult form. But if it doesn't have wings, there are some wingless insects. But if it has wings, it's always an adult.
Yes. There's actually quite a few wingless insects that we'll run into in this class. There's some aphids, there's some ants, obviously. But yes, if it has wings, there's actually no other group of arthropods that have wings ever except adult insects. And so those creatures that have what we call the complete life cycle or the holometabola. Eric, is that hola or holo? It's holo, right?
Holo, yes.
H-O, yeah.
Yes. That's spelled wrong.
Yeah. I'm going to replace that while I'm looking at it. Oh yeah, so holometabola. So our creatures like beetles, butterflies and moths, wasps, ants, and bees, and true flies, their immature stages are always going to look like some kind of worm or caterpillar. They will never ever have wings, or sometimes the cocoons will have something that kind of looks like wings a little bit, but these larval stages are always going to look worm-like. And that, what I mean by worm-like, can be pretty diverse. So this creature down in the lower left hand, this is an immature lacewing. You may not think of that as looking worm-like, but it's squishy. It has abdominal segments that are very obvious. There's no wings on there. Same thing with this lady beetle larva. It's soft. It has lots of exposed abdominal segments. There's no wings. Or you can have things like fly maggots, the larval stages of ants, which look just kind of worm-like and squishy. So when you see those creatures, once again, if you're pretty confident that you know what it is, give it a try, and you might be able to identify the family, and Dr. Chapman and I might also be able to corroborate that. But we're really not covering immatures in this course because it's just too big of a topic. Honestly, we're trying to actually get a new immature courses going, but it's almost a whole separate class because every insect has an immature stage, and especially with the ones with complete life cycle, it's almost like a totally different creature. So you have to learn basically everything again, which is unfortunate because many of these things spend more time as immatures than they do as adults. But this class is mostly about adult insects. So any questions about that stuff? All right, I don't have too much more here. I wanted to mention this. This came out, this is a new book. I didn't mention it in my lectures because it's too new. This is an excellent new field guide that I believe just came out in March. And I don't know if you knew about this, Dr. Chapman, but this was intended to be the follow-up to this book. If I can get it in focus here, Peterson Field Guide to Insects, which is kind of one of the Bibles of entomology, especially at the student level. Whatever they're called, Houghton Mifflin, has decided apparently to get rid of Peterson Field Guides, which is kind of shocking news to me. But it mentions that in the introduction to this book, which I just read last night. I just got this in the mail yesterday. But it's Princeton Field Guide, Insects of North America, John C. Abbott, and much like this course, this is why I like this field guide so much. It is organized by order. In fact, it's the pages, the spine, or not the spine, whatever you would call this part of the book, is color coded by order. So our class is organized by order, and each section is even more than any other book I've ever seen, other than maybe the old version, really goes after the families. It's not trying to teach you individual species. It's all about families. It talks about family characteristics. It even has a pictorial family key at the beginning of each order section. I don't know how well this key works yet. And I think they're kind of trying to get away from really high level microscopy. How would you pronounce it, Eric?
Microscopy.
Microscopy. Although you would still need a microscope, but it is pictorial based, a pictorial based key to family level. So highly recommended. I might even think about, once I get more familiar with this, making this a required text next year, because it's so well aligned with what our kind of mission here is with this class. So that's something to check out. It's about a $20 or well, who knows these days. I can't remember what I spent on it, but something that should have been $20 a couple of years ago is probably $40 now. But a really great resource. It covers, I think this guy claims anyway, he claims that it covers every family. They're not all pictured, but he claims to include all 783 families currently recognized in the US and Canada. So it's really one of the most in-depth field guides for insects I've ever seen. We mentioned a couple of others in the lecture, including my previous favorite field guide, general field guide to insects, which was this one, the National Wildlife Federation, which is still in print and still very good. This one is also organized, color-coded by order, and each little entry, it's a little bit more species-centric, but each little species at least tells you what family it is. So this one's still very good as well, and a really good just general field guide to have when you're with kids or something like that. But that's that field guide. And I also wanted to mention that it is crane fly season right now. So don't let the opportunity to get a crane fly for your image collection for this class slip away. Crane flies are very common in late spring and early summer when everything is kind of wet. Their larvae grow in wet conditions, and a lot of them come out in the spring and early summer. You'll still see them throughout the summer, but there's just a lot of them right now. If you walk outside, you'll probably see one on your garage or flitting around in your yard. These are the creatures that look like huge mosquitoes, and they'll usually stay still for a picture. But what I wanted to mention is just a little bit about ID with these guys. This is kind of the process that you go through with this class. You look at a creature like this, you may not know what it is, go ahead and take a picture of it. That's one of our kind of motto is if in doubt, take a picture of it and then try to figure it out later. But with this creature, we know that it's fairly large. It's got a long body length. We know it was flying around. Well, what else do we know about it? By looking at it, we hopefully at the end of this course, you would automatically know what phylum this belongs to. This is Arthropoda. It's an arthropod. Everything in this class is an arthropod. Everything that has jointed, segmented legs and bodies that is a small creature with an exoskeleton is going to be a arthropod. So even if it's squishy, it still has an exoskeleton, but we can see this thing has lots of segments on its legs and its body, and it's a fairly small creature. That should let us know that it is an arthropod. Lots of segments. One other thing we know about it, it's got wings, so hopefully know that it's an adult insect of some sort, because none of our other arthropods ever have wings other than adult insects. But it's phylum Arthropoda. We know that it's class Insecta because it has 3 pairs of legs or 6 legs, and that's really all we need to know that it's class Insecta. There's a handful of exceptions to that, but not too many. But once again, it's got wings, so it's going to be an insect. And then for order is one of the things that we spend a lot of time on in this class, talking about which order things belong to. You will hopefully by the end of this class know what order this creature is right away, which is that it's the true fly order, which is Diptera. And we know that, and it's so easy to see in crane flies, because Diptera is one of the few groups of insects at the order level that have only 2 wings instead of 4. So most of our winged insects are going to have 4 wings, but the true fly group has 2 wings, and then they also have the back pair of wings have turned into these little structures that look a little bit like golf tees. You'll learn all about this in some of Dr. Chapman's lectures, but these are called halteres. They used to be, apparently from an evolutionary standpoint, the back wings, and now they're used for balance. But that's how we know that this is a Diptera. And as far as family, Dr. Chapman and I just know right away when we see this thing that it's a crane fly. One of these things that hopefully you'll pick up on in this class is some of these creatures are just they just have a look to them that you will just kind of get used to as you see them over and over again. But this is the crane fly family, and one of the reasons we know that is it has this kind of distinctive, what we call a V-shaped suture in its thorax. It has a couple of other characteristics too that separate it from, there are some other crane fly families. But it had the number of segments in its antenna. You would look at that. You would look at whether it has ocelli, which are simple eyes. It's actually, you can actually kind of see in this picture that it probably doesn't have ocelli here. But this is family Topulidae, and now you're basically done. You know phylum, class, order, family for this creature, so you can write up your little white text box that goes with this picture, and you would be done with your submission. Throw it on Google Drive, and that would be a submission for this course. So who has any questions about that? And then the last thing I'm going to mention is, I think I mentioned this a couple times in the emails and in the lectures, but this is the time to take pictures. It's late May and early June in Kentucky. Insect diversity is going crazy. Things are waking up and mating out there. I went hiking this weekend. It had been kind of cold the week before, and it was really warm this weekend. I just saw so much cool stuff out on forest trails where you get some sun, but there's some weeds and some trees and maybe some water. You'll just see all kinds of things visiting flowers and weeds along the trails. This is the season for one of my favorite creatures, I think they're called the golden back snipe fly. We see these a lot in May and early June. Very pretty and very common if you look around by the side of water in sort of shady woodland areas. But that'll be kind of a goal, is to go and see if you can find yourself a golden-backed snipe fly, and you'll take a whole lot of other pictures along the way. In particular, there's a lot of really cool flies right now. It's kind of a moist time of year. So most of our flies, the larvae, live in moist conditions. All right, so I think that's all that I needed to actually cover as far as any information. Who has any questions before we let you all go for today?
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Does it matter where the insects are? Because I'm about to go on vacation out west for 2 weeks. Is it okay if I take pictures out there?
Absolutely, yes. Please do. It'll give us some, and we might even be able to show the other students. I think what you'll find is most of the same, all of the same families are out there for the most part, and many of the exact same creatures will be out there. But you might see a few really interesting things that we don't have in Kentucky. So please do that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, there are definitely families out west that don't occur here.
Blake?
Yes.
Yeah, so I've got a couple of really nice pictures from a couple of years ago at the Red River Gorge.
Yes.
I would like to use, and the location, does it have to be exactly like within feet, or can it be like
No, no. As far as I'm concerned, Red River Gorge is good enough. But if you remembered where you parked or what trailhead you were on or something like that, that would be helpful. But Red River Gorge is good enough for us in this class.
Yeah, no, I can pinpoint it pretty well.
Oh yeah, that would be good then. Yeah.
Older camp phone, so didn't do quite the job that they do now as far as location. But, okay, great. Thank you.
I would say at the minimum, you should strive for at least to pinpoint your locality to county. That would be like the very bare minimum.
Okay.
That's a good point. I forget that Red River Gorge covers several counties, Menifee and Wolf and a couple of others. So yeah, if you can get it to the county, that would be actually really helpful.
All right. Thanks.
All right. Well, I guess if no one has any questions, I see that several people have already been going through Canvas. We'll have another one of these meetings next week. We hope that you're back again. But like I said, you've already done your assignment portion of your Zooms for the next. You're good for the next 2 weeks. And then the only other thing coming up as far as assignments, I believe, as far as assignments that are due anytime soon, would be the preliminary collection. Yeah, there's lots of assignments. There's actually a lot of I try to have lots of very small assignments, sort of bite-sized assignments. But your first big assignment is due this Friday, and that's to create your Google folder system, which a couple of you have already done. And that's just so that we'll see that you know how to set that up. So that's due on Friday at midnight, I think. And then you'll have another Zoom session that's due by June 9th. And then also on June 9th, your first 25 families. So hopefully by then you will have had your Google Drive set up, and you will be plugging pictures in there somewhere. And then when you get to that assignment, when you're done, basically, once again, it'll just say something like, hey, Eric and Blake, I'm done with my first 25 families. You can go grade it now, and then click submit. And then we will do that. For your first 25 families, you don't have to have everything accurately identified, but go ahead and try, because it'll be less work for you later. But we want to see that you understand the process. We want to understand that you're taking photos that are good enough for us to be able to identify, and that you're using the Google Drive correctly. All right, so any questions? All right, so I know several of you guys are on the clock, so we will we'll let you go, and we'll put this Zoom up somewhere so that people can get back to it if they need it. And I guess we'll see you all later if we don't have any questions.
Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Good seeing y'all.
Bye.
Thanks, Dr. Chapman.